On today's show, the Dallas Mavericks are on the eve of playing Game 1 of the NBA Finals. I'm confident. I'm a little nervous. I'm going to tell you why. Today's Locked On Mavs.
Doncic, and this is Locked On Mavericks.
Mavericks, NBA champions. Bang! It's good, and the Mavericks have won the game.
If you don't believe, you shouldn't be here.
Loyalty never fades away.
And welcome. You are locked on to the Dallas Mavericks. My name is Nick Angstadt, media member and NBA channel manager for Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day. Thanks for being part of the show, making Locked On Mavs your first listen today. We're the best way you can help us grow the show. Listen every day on any podcast platform. Leave a 5-star review, like the video on YouTube, and comment anything below. Give me your prediction for Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms and conditions apply. And joining me on a non-game day, on the eve of the NBA Finals, all the way back in the home country in Dallas. What you got for me, Slightly Biased?
Holding down the fort here in the DF Dub, the vibes chieftain of the Metroplex, and they're feeling good. Today I was yesterday I was thinking about it. I was like, why do I not feel like nervous about this? It made me not feel that good. But then today the nerves were hitting hard. Whatever the media day, and you were you could feel it. I mean, you were there obviously, but I'm saying just from like an outsider's perspective, you could feel the importance is just different now. Like this is where you're at that level now. And that was what I was like, oh my God, they're about to play in the NBA Finals.
It's a different level. It's a different level right now. We'll talk about if the Mavs are ready. There's a couple things they said at Media Day today where I think, all right, I think this Mavs team may be ready for the moment. But let's start with, where are you confident with the Mavericks? We've had a week now to think about this matchup, to watch some games, to go over numbers, to hear people talk about it, to hear people talk about how cool the Celtics are, how good the Celtics are, how great the Celtics are, how amazing the Celtics are, how perfect the Celtics are, and all that, how great Porzingis is going to make them, all this. What's something you're still confident in with the Dallas Mavericks?
Well, they have the best player in the series, and that's not even up for debate. Like, that's not even the Thunder series. By the end of it, you could maybe have. I mean, actually, probably not. I think it's pretty safely with Luka hurt the first 4 games. Like, it was Shea was the best player in that series, but the Mavs, the sum of their parts was just a little bit better. Luka's the best player in the series, and Kyrie Irving is Kyrie Irving. And look, man, if you play basketball literally at any level, like pick up basketball, it is very hard to lose games consistently when you have the best player. It's not
if
obviously
Sawyer's on your team, you're going to win.
Oh, if he's watching that, he's going to love that. He's absolutely going to love that.
That
is true.
Shout out to Sawyer, a guy we play with who played college basketball, and it just destroys.
And he's like 6'7".
He just destroys anytime we play with him. But it's right. If you have the best, it's one of these weird matchup things where the Celtics do have all these great things about their team. They play 5 out. They're deeper, like from 1 to 8, basically. They've got this, they've got this top heaviness of their 2 stars who have been all NBA guys, who have been all-star guys. Drew Holiday's been there before. This whole team has been there before because of 2022. Porzingis is of their 4th or 5th best player on any given night. Al Horford can come in and do good things. And you've got all these things that make the Celtics great, make them the favorites, which they are. They're a 6.5-point favorite according to FanDuel in Game 1. They're the favorite for the series. And yet the Mavs are the best player in the series. It feels, in ways, it feels like it feels like the 2011 where it's like, all right, well, can Dirk be the best player in the series if LeBron James falters here? And so that's something I am confident with. I'm also confident in Luka's matchups. I don't think we're going to get to a point where we're like, oh man, the Celtics are just guarding him really well. Like, they don't have a Lou Dort. They don't have a guy. They don't even have a Jaden McDaniels, right? It's like Jaylen Brown is going to start on him, and they're going to try all kinds of different defenses, and they'll do great stuff and all that. But like, they just played the number 1 defense in the NBA. Like, for all the Celtics fans talk about, our defense is next level. It's all this. The next level part of your defense is Porzingis, who Luka has played against a lot and knows how to play against him, and the 2 all defensive guards who cannot guard Luka because they're not big enough. It just is. And so I am a little nervous about something Zach Lowe talked about in his show where he was breaking down the series, where he talked about those 2 guards defensively, and I think Iztok Franco pointed this out too. Those 2 guards are going to be the ones that are going to be roaming for the Celtics, and they're going to be the ones coming in and like helping real quick on Luka or jumping in pass lanes and things like that, and that does make them dangerous. So I am definitely nervous about that, but we'll save the nerves for later. I'm confident in Luka's individual one-on-one matchups that nobody in the series is going to be able to guard him.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of comes back to, it's not really fair to say the Celtics because really there's just not really too many guys in the league who can guard Luka, but it's going to be so interesting to see how this all plays out because there's been talks ad nauseum from every single place that no one blitzes less than the Celtics. They're not going to double team. But, I was talking about this in my stream yesterday. It's like, if they lose game one, that is out the window. Like, literally everything goes out the window. Yeah, like, it's not – you're at this stage now where the margins are so thin, and Luka is a game breaker. Like, that's the level of player he is, where – it doesn't matter what you do, what you don't do, what you've done all season long. I mean, it does because teams just don't switch up stuff like in the playoffs willy-nilly. Like that's just not something that happens. But Luka is the level where you're going to be uncomfortable and you're going to be trying things that you usually don't do in the regular season. And we've seen it all postseason long. Luka coming off a series where, the Celtics defense is great. And we hear this every single series. It's literally every single series. Well, this team's built to stop Luka though. This team,
this Clippers series at the beginning of his career, was classic. That
the Timberwolves, that was like, well, they got Jaden McDaniels and Ant, like they got all these guys that can throw at him,
rim protection, and
and they got, I mean, genuinely, I'll stand on business. That is the best Luka's ever looked. Like that was an all-time level Luka performance, and coming right off of that, it's what makes me feel good. Where it's like, you're going to get out of that guy.
Yeah,
the best player in the world level stuff. And it's up to the rest of the teammates to follow suit. And we'll see 24 hours from now if that's the case in game one.
The other thing I'm confident about is the Mavs can play without a lead. We hear about this a lot in the NFL where certain quarterbacks you can play without a lead, or certain ones that are just the game manager types where they cannot play without a lead because if they don't have a lead, then they can't catch up and get points and go on runs. This Mavericks team can play without a lead because we've seen them come back in many instances in these playoffs and not get too down on themselves if they don't get the right referee calls, if their threes don't hit, if things aren't going well for them. They used to hang their heads and then wouldn't be able to recover from certain things. We've seen this team come back from down 30, like to make a 30-0 run against the Thunder this season. We've seen this team come back from an 18-point deficit against the Timberwolves. We've seen this team come back in a bunch of different instances, and I feel confident that this Mavericks team has been tested in that way, that if they get down to the Celtics, which will probably happen at some point, the Celtics team will hit a ton of threes in a quarter or something like that. They'll hit 5 or 6, 7 threes in a quarter, and you all of a sudden go, they look unstoppable because they've looked like that this season many times. If that happens, I think this Mavericks team will not hang their head and quit. And I think that that's something that I'm confident in this Mavericks team that I haven't been in past iterations of this Mavs team.
Yeah, I mean, it's been the formula all year. Stay connected, stay in the game, and then once that fourth quarter comes around, you have Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, which the other teams don't have. And that's why the Mavericks' clutch record was as good as it was. That's why their clutch record's been this good in the postseason so far. And, I think that's another vote of confidence for the Mavs. And I think a reason for Mavs fans to be confident is, look, you've been not battle tested. You've been like you have been through an absolute war zone to get here. Like you really have. Your playoff road was difficult. You played great teams. You were in tough games. You had comebacks. You had closeout games on the road. You had massive game 5s and 2-2 series on the road. Like you've been through the ringer. And I agree with you. I don't think that they're going to, the Celtics are up 12 and this is going to be hey, we're just happy to be here, guys. Let's, what a great run for us.
Yeah, right. They're not going to do that.
Yeah, you're not going to get that. So, and on the flip side, it is, I hate to harp on this, but it's like, this is not the Indiana Pacers without Tyrese Halliburton. It's not the Miami Heat without Jimmy Butler. It's not the Cleveland Cavaliers without Jared Allen and Donovan Mitchell. Like it's insane when you go back and I was going back and watching film and it's like, oh my, look at these lineups on the floor, man. This looks like a preseason game sometimes. So yeah, I'm interested in that.
Their defense struggled at times against TJ McConnell. It's like, okay, what's Kyrie Irving gonna do to that then? And they'll be ready in a different level. They'll step up. There's probably a foot off the gas thing for the Celtics in those series. You go, oh, they don't have Tyrese Halliburton. I'm playing against TJ McConnell. I'm not gonna go 100% balls to the wall. They're gonna go ball. Those balls will be to the wall against Kyrie with this crowd. This crowd is going to be insane. Let me tell you. I've told this story twice now on Locked On Sports Today and on Locked On NBA, but I'll tell it again because I think it's worth telling. My Uber driver coming back from the arena today was full-blood, full-bore Boston guy. Had the accent, everything. And the way he talked about Kyrie was like vitriol, like just the hatred. That guy effed us, blah, 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 all this. He left us to dry, screwed our team for 3 years when he left, and blah, blah, blah. And I think that he has some right to be upset about Kyrie, but they have held on to that, and they have not let it go in any way. Where I think Mavs fans have let go of Porzingis, whatever feelings were about Porzingis, I think they have let it go. But Celtics fans have not let go of the Kyrie thing at all in any way.
Are we like 5 years removed from that at this point?
Almost 6.
Like, my God, how many conference finals have they been to in a row? Like, geez.
Well, this is Celtics team and this Celtics fan base is used to caring about history, right? Like that's all it's about. Jayson Tatum said today, this franchise only hangs championship banners, right? Like it's only about the history. It's only about keeping track of what
they did at one point.
It's only about keeping track of what happened in the past, and they hold the grudges. That's for sure.
Well, they have one ring, and they have the same amount of championships in the last 30 years as the Dallas Mavericks. So
let's go. Hey, and they can and one team can change that. In the coming weeks. But coming up, let's talk about the things that we're nervous about when it comes to the Mavs and the Celtics. Let's talk about where we're feeling uneasy now that we've seen a lot of film. We've talked about some stuff. We'll get into all that and more coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app and go check out the tickets that are there and available for you. I used Game Time this weekend. I'm going to go see Drake Toll. He is the Locked On Big 12 host. He's a great guy. He is the play-by-play guy for the Party Animals. They're like the Washington Generals to the Harlem Globetrotters. The Harlem Globetrotters would be the Savannah Bananas for Drake. And I'm going to go see them in Fenway. And I used Game Time to do it. I got to see my view from my seat. I got to use the all-in pricing, so I got to see all the fees and everything up front. So I knew what I was paying. I got to see my seat view. I got the lowest price guarantee on Game Time, and they'll credit you 110% of the difference if you find a lower ticket price somewhere else. That's pretty fun. Go check out that. Take the guesswork out of NBA Finals tickets, Savannah Bananas tickets, Dallas Wings tickets if you want to go see them play this summer. If you want to go see Texas Rangers games, if you want to go see all kinds of concerts and comedy shows, go check that out. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem that code LOCKEDONNBA, LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out with us on Locked On Mavs, being part of the show, part of the Raccoon Squad, listening every day. We appreciate each and every one of you. If you're a Celtics fan, welcome. This is a welcoming place for you. Slightly's wearing green.
Look, here's my strategy with that, right? Because people are going to say something. Here's how it goes, right? If I put it on and I rock it better than anybody else could, which is the case, then I'm taking all the energy out of it, you know? And that's just the fact. Exactly.
I own this color now.
There's no jinxes.
For the Mavs media room, they have the old school cowboy hat green logo for the Mavs on there. So they're giving it to them.
I did a video where my green screen is in the background. Everyone was like, "I can't believe you have green in the background." It's like, yeah, it's called a green screen, and they're pretty common in the industry.
Take control of those colors. So we're feeling confident that Slightly is rocking the green today. Where are we not feeling confident in the Mavericks? And I'll start with this. I think the Boston Celtics have been tested in a way that they've had some injuries, and they've had to play with different types of players, different types of lineups. They have basically like 6-7 players that they play with all the time. They all play in different combinations and all kinds of stuff like that. That is not the same as the Thunder, where the Thunder had this one lineup that they just ran into the ground and used over and over again. And I kept saying even before the series started, if the Mavs can take away a couple of those pieces, if they take away one of those pieces, what did the Thunder look like? Did they completely fall because they haven't been used to playing in different iterations? You know, if Giddey all of a sudden can't play, that's a struggle. If Jaylen Williams isn't getting his offense in the same way, will they struggle because they're just used to dominating with this 5 lineup? Celtics are not the same way. They can play in a bunch of different iterations. That's one area that I haven't talked about yet that I am a little nervous about.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I kind of agree.
It's a long way of saying I think the Celtics can adapt to more things than some of the past teams the Mavs have played.
True, but I would maybe counter that with saying, what do they go to? Like Luke Cornett? I really doubt it. Like if the thing is for me, if KP's like compromised and they're in like a deep amount of trouble. Like I'm being serious. Like for me, what I'm scared about is obviously KP comes back and looks good and he's bombing 30-foot threes because that adds a whole nother wrinkle.
Unguardable, yeah.
that you just defensively, I mean, they're the greatest offense in the history of the league by efficiency numbers. Like it's not
it happens every year, but yes, it happened again.
Yes, that's true. It's every single season. The best offense in the league is the best offense ever. But
since the Mavs did it.
That's true. Yeah, the Mavs, what was that, Luka's second year? They were the best one of all time.
With Porzingis. But Porzingis gives them, affords them all that crazy spacing.
Whoa. Porzingis is a walking best offense of all time.
You just got to stand there. That's all.
Yeah, true. But it's I get what you're saying though. Like this, they have a really great 1 through 6 or 7, like a fantastic 1 through 7.
Great. That's very good.
Very good. Clearly the best in the NBA, and definitely one of the best in recent NBA history. Like it's no secret
maybe
they
the
won
Warriors
64 games. Yeah, it's very possible. It's they won 64 games for a reason. Yes, the Eastern Conference this. Yes, the Eastern Conference that. Yes, their playoff. I was mentioning this in my video where it's like I would have picked them to come out the East comfortably, even if they had to play the healthy Knicks, the healthy Bucks, and the healthy Sixers in one playoff run. Like they're just better.
Yeah,
we can talk about how easy their playoff run has been, but they're that good of a team. And yeah, I mean they can throw a lot of things at you, and when it's hitting and they're bombing threes and they're all going down, and there's just no one that you feel comfortable helping off of, there's a snowball effect. But I agree with it's tough, man. It's the KP stuff scares me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie to you, it does.
He changes a lot of things because he's the one. I've said this a couple times about me being nervous if Gafford can play in this series, or how effective Lively will be defensively because he's going to have to space out. It's because of Porzingis, like some because of Al Horford, but mostly because of Porzingis and what he can bring and how far he can space the floor. He spaces the floor far out behind the 3-point line too. He'll take deep threes, and he's been hitting his deep threes this year in a way that he didn't for the Mavericks before. And KP is the reason why I'm nervous if Gafford can play or not, because of that spacing, because he won't make the Mavs defense as effective because he won't be near the rim and hanging out and there to have players be led to him at the rim and all that. And so, yeah, I'm definitely still nervous about that in a way. I'm nervous about the Celtics 3-point shooting, just going on the barrage, and just all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, we just can't stop giving up open threes.
Yeah, me too. I went back and I looked. Like the Clippers were the regular season team that shot the most threes out of any opponent that the Mavs have faced so far, and their 3-point frequency was 17th in the league. So the Celtics first, like close to half the Celtics shots are threes. They're going to get them up, and the way this Mavericks team is constructed, we've seen it all, from the trade deadline onwards, is hey, we're going to slow the game down. We're going to get into these rock fights defensively, and then we're going to close with Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. And we don't even need to make threes. Like we can win games with 4 made 3-pointers. Like it doesn't matter. We can win games with 3. And I don't, unless the Celtics have just like an abysmal shooting night, I don't know if that's necessarily going to be a formula for success for you, a recipe for success for you. It's going to have to be, it's like, but also at the same time, I'm nervous about the Mavericks getting in the mindset of we have to bomb threes with you.
Yeah,
because that's not a recipe for success either. So that is definitely nerve-wracking. And look, if the Celtics shoot 40+%, 50% from 3 on 40, 50 attempts, you're not going to win. That's a tough one.
The Mavs know this. The Mavs will be coming out from game 1, and I think they'll be trying to remove that from them. And yeah, like you said, if the Celtics do shoot poorly from 3, it's kind of like you've got to win that game because you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that every time. We don't think. And so it's definitely something to watch out for and be nervous about.
And it's the Mavs are going to have to figure out how do we make the threes as difficult as possible.
Yes.
And how do we, because that was the concern, right, with the Thunder series. But of course, these two teams are different schematically. We're like the Thunder are trying to space the floor so they can drive and they can create opportunities for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to get downhill and finish around the rim and all of this stuff. Where the Celtics are trying to space the floor to shoot threes. Like that's what they are trying to do. They're trying to swing. They're trying to get you in rotation. Yeah, and they're just like, we want to shoot this 3. Like we're going to drive to the rim, but understand the idea is we're going to kick it out from here. Okay. So, and of course they will finish at the rim if it's there, but it's up to the Mavericks to, they did a great job against Chet. And that's why, like, I feel good about the Al Horford stuff because they're kind of similar where their release is a little bit slower and you can get out and contest on that. So, if KP is compromised, that's interesting. But KP's got a quick trigger release, and we know 30 feet away from the rim, even if there's a contest or a closeout on him, he's 7'3", he'll shoot. It doesn't matter. And That's like the swing factor of the series for me. Everyone's like Drew Holiday this. I'm like, if KP's bombing 30-foot threes, that's it. Like, that is it.
Yeah. It's the offense of the Celtics that I think if that starts going off, then all of a sudden you've taken away what makes the Mavericks good is the baseline of their defense being solid and always keeping them in games. One of the reasons why they're never holding their heads down because they don't hit threes, because their defense has been good and keeps them in games, keeps them connected, like you said earlier. Coming up, let's talk about if the Mavericks are ready for this moment. Are they? There are some things that we heard on Media Day I want to talk about and see if the Mavs are ready for this moment. Dereck Lively told me, answered a question that I asked him that I found very interesting. We'll talk about that and more coming up. Today's episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. All you have to do is go to prizepicks.com and use that code LOCKEDONNBA, and you can get a first deposit matched up to $100 on Prize Picks. Prize Picks is daily fantasy where you have to just go in and pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. They'll have all kinds of stuff for the NBA Finals. You can go in and, for example, they may have Luka Doncic 30.5 points, more or less in Game 1. Kyrie Irving, 27.5 points, more or less. Jayson Tatum, 28.5 points, more or less. You can pick more or less on that, have some more fun with it, see what you can get, and you can turn $10 into $1,000 in a single game watching your favorite sports. You can make a Prize Picks lineup in as little as 60 seconds. Go check out and see what they have. The Finals means more on Prize Picks, so do the star players. You get boosted payouts on select basketball stars that you won't find anywhere else. Luka, Kyrie, Tatum, all that. Download the Prize Picks app. Game time, too, but Prize Picks this time. Download the Prize Picks app. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA for first deposit match up to $100. Download the app today. Code LOCKEDONNBA for first deposit match up to $100. All right, Slightly, we're talking about Game 1 of the NBA Finals coming up tonight if you're listening to this on a Thursday. Game 1. I still cannot believe that we're here. Like, walking into the arena today, seeing NBA Finals, like, stuff everywhere where you see the basketball stanchion. You see the finals trophy on a big thing right under the basket. You see the finals on the scoreboard up on the top with the logo kind of looping. You see, the amount of media that is here. I went to All-Star. That's a lot of media. This is maybe like 25% more than what All-Star is. And All-Star, just they allow anybody to just anybody can go to All-Star.
That's surprising.
It's a lot. There was probably 500 media members here today.
Wow.
It's so many. Guillermo from Jimmy Kimmel was here. He went up to Josh Green and he said, "Josh Green, there's a lot of players in this series where their last name is a color. Josh Green, Jaylen Brown, Derrick White. What's your favorite color?"
What is his favorite color? Green?
I couldn't hear it. You can hear it on Jimmy Kimmel, or you can go listen to it on wherever they posted it. But you just see like the circus of it. There's just so many people. There's all the interviews are going on at once, and so I'm bouncing back and forth between different ones. You hear Kyrie, Kid, Luka, all them, and then you get to see him practice a little bit. The Mavs seemed loose in practice. They're putting up shots. Luka and Kyrie were having some fun. I gotta ask your opinion on this though. We talked about this on Locked On NBA. Me and Pat did. Kyrie was wearing some pants that kind of were like a burlap or like a, when you do the potato sack races in school, like you jump in a potato sack. Yeah, it's that kind of material. Yeah. He was wearing these pants during warm-ups. They had different designs all over them. And on the back left butt cheek is a giant green shamrock.
Mm-hmm.
On purpose? Question mark?
Look, I tried to explain this to you earlier, but I know Kyrie's on the same wavelength. If you wear something and you take all the energy out of it,
that's right.
You are dictating where that energy is going. So and I guarantee you that's exactly why Kyrie did that. Actually, if you were to ask him, it'd almost be verbatim that answer.
So there you go, Kyrie taking ownership of it and trying to take ownership of the shamrock because he was wearing pants that had a big shamrock on the back. Dereck Lively said something interesting. He's the only guy I really wanted to talk to on Media Day. And I said, have Kyrie and Coach Kidd, they've been in the finals before as players. Have they told you to treat this like any other game? We hear that a lot. That's like such a basketball cliche. We're just going to treat this like any other game. We put our pants on the same as them, one leg at a time, all that stuff. And Lively said this, it's hard to treat it like every other game because there's a level of urgency. We're more focused on each and every individual fact that we can, no matter if it's defensive coverages, offensive game plan, what we need to do to come out and throw the first punch. And I kind of like that mentality of hey, this is not just any other game. We're not just going to come out. We know that this is the finals. And honestly, this Mavs team needs this sense of urgency in a game one against this Boston Celtics team because you have to catch them off guard early if you're going to win this series. You've got to come out, and you do have to throw the first punch. And that doesn't mean that if they don't win game one, they can't win the series. But this Mavericks team has been playing in these playoff atmospheres, these playoff levels, and all this. And the Celtics have kind of walked through some of these, their side because they've had injuries that they've dealt with. And it's, the Celtics made it here just like the Mavericks did. But the Mavs have been playing at this level and playing with this sense of urgency that Lively talked about. And I kind of love that from him and him not just saying, it's just like any other game. Joe Mazzulla, when he was asked about it, he said, unless they change the light bulbs in the arena, they won't be any brighter than they were the last series. It's like, I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great answer from Lively, and it's true. I mean, the margins just gets thinner and thinner and thinner the further and further and further you get in the playoffs, and that is a great mentality to have. It's insane that he's a 20-year-old rookie. I mean, that's just absolutely
the way
crazy.
He talks. Somebody on YouTube, shout out to you on my YouTube short when I posted this, said he talks like a monk.
I've never spoken to a monk, so I can't speak on that.
Like a wise monk that just has all these sayings and things.
In Diablo, I was a monk.
The video game.
But no, it was a good mentality. I mean, I feel like you just got to take what's said in these press conferences with a grain of salt always. Like once the ball,
read between the lines in it.
Yeah, but once the ball's tipped, once the ball gets thrown in the air and if we tip off, like that's when it all matters. Like you can say all of this stuff, we're this, we're locked in, we're doing this, X, Y, and Z.
Don't say this too much. We need people to listen to the stuff in between.
No, I mean, what I'm saying is it's different for you and I to come on here.
It's our job.
It's different for you and I to come on here.
For them.
They're going to do this. Right. Like Coach Mazzulla, the light's not bright. Or Derek, like, yeah, we're doing this. Like, I mean, we did it all year long whenever things were bad. I guess more last season. And they after the game, like, yeah, we need to be better. It's like, okay, then do it. Like every game and saying we need to do X, Y.
Oh my gosh.
Do it. Shout out to Nike.
Derek Lively, I think this talking about the sense of urgency and hearing about that and hearing them focusing on and putting more effort, more intentionality into the defense and the offensive coverages and things like that, being able to throw out the first punch, I think is something that is key. It was key for the Mavericks to come out and be good in the first quarter against the Timberwolves and against the Thunder. Yeah. And so I think that's something key. The other thing is, are the Mavs just happy to be here? I've seen this kind of mentality of, the Mavs didn't expect to be here. Are they just going to be happy to be here? And Jabari Smith Jr., yes, the Houston Rocket, Jabari Smith Jr. was here. He was like the NBA's correspondent, I guess. He was asking everybody questions. He asked Jayson Tatum this question, by the way. He asked Jayson Tatum, how do you deal with the scrutiny of being a really high draft pick that has underperformed? And I was like, that is an interesting question from a player to another player in front of a bunch of like media and people, like for the world, basically, because it was broadcast. Like to talk about yourself openly like that, I found that very interesting. But Jabari Smith
underperformed?
I think Jabari Smith was talking about himself.
Oh.
Because he himself was the third overall pick.
Yeah, right. Interesting.
But Jabari Smith asked Luka, how does it feel? Just a simple question, how does it feel to be in the NBA Finals? And Luka said his favorite word, which is?
Amazing.
First time here. Hopefully it's not the last game, but never take it for granted. You never know if you're going to come back, so just enjoy the experience. It is kind of happy to be here mentality at the end there, but also to not take it for granted because you don't know if you're going to come back. I think Kyrie has also talked about this mentality of, man, this is a very sweet ride because I took for granted being here so much when I was playing with LeBron. And I think he's reiterated that mentality to all these guys. Like, hey, this is rare. Like, this does not happen in a player's career all the time. And I think the Mavericks are not just going to be happy to be here. I think they're going to be ready for this, and I think that they're going to come out and know that, all right, we've got to play with some desperation.
They've shown nothing to me all season long, especially in the back half, nor in the playoffs, that lead me to believe that they're going to show up with that type of mentality. Like, literally nothing, They dealt with early in the postseason, Luka, a very compromised state, and everybody stepped up. And then when it was time in the back half of that Thunder series, Luka stepped up. They went on the road in a Game 5 and dominated the Thunder in an incredibly difficult environment and tough place to play. Closed them out in a Game 6 where they came back down. 18 in that Game 6 against the Thunder. and then mollywopped the Timberwolves, where the whole narratives after that series was that was the finals. That Timberwolves Nuggets series was the NBA finals. Like, wow, I can't believe we just saw that. Like, that was a very popular narrative, and the Mavericks said, no, this is over. Like, we're stomping them. And then in game 5, you know, of course, just naturally when you go up 3-0 and lose a game, the narratives are always just, oh my God, well, you know,
Don't
Anthony Edwards does this. Yeah, Cat does this. Like, you never know. And then they go out and do what they did in game 5. Like, it's a different – you have Luka Doncic, and you know that guy's a killer. And then Kyrie's been there, and Kid's been there. And Derrick Jones Jr. was there?
No.
The bubble team?
I don't think
was
so.
he not on that Heat bubble team? Somebody
No,
said that, and I was thinking about it. I was like, I don't think he was on that team. I think he was on the Blazers by then. But anyways, even if he was, it's a little bit different in my opinion. I always respect the bubble championship because, in a way, everybody was in the same place. There was no travel, you know.
Okay. Jones Jr. He was playing 6 minutes a game in the playoffs for them. Like, he got a bunch of DNP CDs, so like it was not the same.
Man, he saw it though firsthand, the bubble, and
he was the Alex Fudge of the Heat.
No, shout out to Alex Fudge, but 6 minutes is probably 6 more minutes than Alex Fudge. But Markieff Morris has a ring.
Yeah, been there before. I mean, they played against each other in that bubble. So, man, I'm feeling confident, but I know that this Celtics team is very good, and I know that they can. I mean, some things could break where all of a sudden you go, oh my gosh, this Mavs team is just getting beaten in this matchup in ways. But I have confidence this Mavs team will respond in a way that past Mavericks teams did not.
Can I say so? What was your ultimate prediction?
I ended up going Mavs in 6.
I went Mavs in 7. And I do think sprinkled in there in the Celtics win, there might be a blowout or two where they're just raining threes and the Mavericks are like, all right, we're down by 20 in the fourth quarter. Like, let's pull guys. Let's not show any adjustments we might make yet. Like, that could very well happen. No need to overreact to that. This is who the Celtics are. So I just want to preface that. I'm nervous. It's okay to be nervous, man. It means you care. If you're not nervous, then it means you care. Like, if you get nervous about something, you care. You get nervous before you go on a date. You get nervous before your big game. You get nervous before your presentation. It's because you care, man. If you're not nervous, then get out. You don't believe you shouldn't be here.
That's right. Say it. Say it with your green shirted chest.
You don't believe you should be here, and we believed.
Loyalty never fades away.
Isn't that how he says? And we believe.
Absolutely incredible that the Mavericks are here. Like, walking onto the court, seeing the Mavericks in this finals atmosphere is like, I cannot wait for game 1. I know you can't wait for game 1. Everyone listening, you guys deserve it, and you deserve this whole series, and deserve for the Mavericks to be here. And I'm excited.
That's right, baby. It's a shame they don't do the huge Larry O'Brien trophy anymore on center court.
Oh,
such a shame.
The script on the court and all that. Yeah, I was disappointed in that too.
Peak aura,
but. Yeah, there you go. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs. We'll be back with more all throughout this week. We'll have post games. We'll have all kinds of extra stuff from Locked On Sports Today with me and Corrales. Guys, thanks so much for listening to Locked On Mavs. Peace out. Boom.
See you guys tomorrow after a win.
Oh, end credits?
End credits.
After the credits.
This is Easter egg.
Yeah, the background in Slightly's thing right now is go check it out.
I hope it's the Boston Tea Party.